mates, welcome back to So Simple. Here we try to simplify sewing as much as possible. So today we are going to be learning how to make an overlap blouse. Okay, it's a very simple blouse tutorial. It can be you can make it into a dress and you can make it into a blouse, whichever you want. But for this I'm going to be adding gathers to it to make a full dress. So you don't need so much measurement. We'll start by cutting the back. So for the back, you're going to need the measurement of your length. So the half length is what I'm working with here. My half length is 17, but I'm going to be adding a 1 inch band. So because of that, I'll leave my half length at 16. So I'll mark it at 16 and a half because I need allowance to join the gathers to it. So once you have your 16 and a half, you connect that. So the next thing I'm going to mark now is my armhole line. Okay, the armhole line the armhole I'm working with is 8.5, but it's a sleeveless top, so I'm going to mark 8 inches so that the armhole will not be showing too much. So I'm going to connect that as well. So remember I said we are drafting the back first, so for that I'm going to mark my zipper allowance, but I do not like to mark my zipper allowance straight because the back is not straight, it's bent. So because of that, I like to take like a dart of 1 inch there on the waist, and then I'm going to connect it to the tip of the shoulder like this. So from there now I'm going to take my zipper allowance. So you now mark your zipper allowance following this new center back line that you have. You are no longer working with the straight center back. I hope that is clear. So once you mark that, you can now start taking your measurement. I'm going to take my shoulder measurement here. The shoulder is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and then I will mark the same 7.5 inches here. So 7.5 here is giving me around 8.5 thereabout. And then here I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. For the neck width I'm working with 3 inches, and the neck depth is going to be 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and connect all of this together and then create my shoulder slope. So here you're going to mark your bust measurement. The bust is 40 divided by 4 is 10. So I'll mark 10 inches here. And then for my armhole, I'll simply just create like an armhole line. Then because it's the back, I'll just connect from the midpoint like this. So here you mark your waist measurement. I'm not going to be adding any dart to this. So the waist is 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I'll just go ahead and mark out my 8 inches waist measurement, and then you can now add your seam allowance to it. I'm working with a 1.5 inches seam allowance, so I will mark that as well and then connect. So remember we are not putting a dart on this, so just to eliminate whatever bunch that we may have there, I'll just try to come up here by 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch. You can do 1/2 inch as well. I'll do the same thing on the zipper allowance area. I'll mark this straight, and then from here now I'll connect to the side in a slant form like this. So all of this is going to go off, and with this I'm done with the back. So for the front, you can use the back to cut the front, but I'm just going to draft mine from scratch, especially because my zipper allowance is not straight anymore. So you need to mark the allowance that you want for this. Okay, how much allowance do you want to work with for this? So let me turn it like this so that we don't get confused. So for me, I want it to overlap. Okay, by allowance I mean the overlap allowance. So I want it to overlap by 4 inches. So the first thing I'm going to mark is that 4 inches overlap before I start taking my actual measurement. So once you mark your 4 inches overlap, then you can now mark your half length. Remember the half length is 16.5 including seam allowance, so you make that into a straight line. So just like we did for the front, I'll mark my shoulder, I'll mark the shoulder slope, the neck width remains the same, and then the armhole as well remains the same. So here I'm going to connect. and then mark the same shoulder measurement here so that I can do my armhole measurement. So for the front here, you are going to mark what you have here and then divide that into two. Then you come in by half an inch here and then connect. So to connect, you need to mark your round bust divided by 4, which is 10. And then I'm trying to connect these 3 points together using my curved ruler. So if you have a curved ruler that can do this, fine. If not, then you connect them in bits. So that is our armhole. Here I'm going to mark my waist divided by 2. Remember, no dart, so we are not going to have a dart allowance. So here I'm going to mark my seam allowance just like I did for the back as well. And now the next thing is to work on the neckline, which is the major part of the tutorial. So for this neckline, the first thing you need to do is to note where your neck depth is going to be at the center. This is very important because you don't want to be connecting from here to here. It's like I was saying, if you connect just like this, you can see it may be more than the depth that you want for your neckline. So for me, I like to do it in bits, so I need to note the depth that I want first. So for the neck depth that I want, from my shoulder, I want it to be around 7 inches or 7 inches, so that by the time I turn it out and everything, okay, let's do 7.25. Then it's like a V neckline, so I'm going to connect that to my shoulder. So now from there, I'm going to go ahead and connect into the overlap like this, and see what we did. So if you don't have if you have any plate that is sharp on that part, you can just go ahead and throw it off. So this way you'll be able to determine exactly where you want them to cross on your neck depth. So this is it for this part as well. If you want to add that to yours, you just need to add your dart allowance so that you can hold your dart here. But I'm not fixing a dart today, so I'll just go ahead and cut them out. So this is what you are going to cut on your fabric. The only thing is that you will need to add allowances on the shoulder and wherever it is that you are going to be turning. And when you cut this on your fabric, you need to notch your center point, which is here, so that it will guide you when you want to put them together and sew. Okay, so you can see, just like I said, I have gone ahead to cut this out on my fabric, and then I'm going to take out my pins. So for the front, make sure that you notch it here on your center front, so that when you take it out like this, you can try to mark your fabric the wrong and right side, so that you don't mix them up, because it's cotton fabric, so it is same for both. So now when you want to sew it, you just, when you place it on each other, all you need to look for is your notches, so that you can place your notch to notch, and this is how it's going to overlap. You can see, and you can see that your neck depth is not so wide. Okay, so you just sew it. That's for the back, that's for the front, and then for the back, you just place your back on it, join your shoulders together and join your side. It is as simple as that.